Hey guys, Spire here with Inspired Gaming, and today I actually want to cut down the video that I made yesterday a little bit from an extensive guide to a brief guide for Hotslogs.com because I know a lot of us don't feel like we have time to watch an hour and a half long video, even in breaking it into segments, or maybe it's more information than we actually want to know. So I'm going to kind of go over what I have in the extensive guide that I'm not going to talk about here. I talked about how to upload replays to Hotslogs. Kind of the negative view of Hotslogs and how there's people out there that'll say, oh, Hotslogs is garbage, you use Hotslogs, you're an idiot, when in actuality they're like, I go into depth about how, they kind of telegraph that you can just ignore them because they're actually pretty ignorant. I mean, if you're not going off of the actual data that we have that Blizzard is using to buff and nerf characters, then you're just going off of some random person's opinion. And that's never good. Now, if the pros are saying it, you give a little bit more weight to it, and you kind of adjust from there. But I'm not going to go too far into that. I talk about confidence intervals and everything, and why the population data that we have for Hotslogs is actually phenomenally accurate. We go off of much less than we do in science. And if we had 30% of the data that we have on Hotslogs right now, it would still be extremely helpful to us. And then I go into kind of the minutia of some of the stuff that's on Hotslogs, but we're going to kind of ignore that today, and we're just going to get straight to how can you use Hotslogs to determine the meta where you're at, and how can you use it to better your play. I've actually used Hotslogs to go from Gold 2 to Diamond 2 in Season 2 and Diamond 5 and in Season 3 so far, even though I haven't been playing as much Hero League. So what you want to do is you want to supplement it with guys that make these phenomenal tier lists, like Nubkex, who we have here. This is the Ragnaros patch because it lines up with the next tier list that I'm about to show you. But you can see even at this level, Nubkex is Masters. Shrey's, which I'm about to show you, is a Pro. Okay, Nubkex has KT down here in Tier 3, which I would kind of disagree with. But he's got Li Ming up here in Tier 1. Jaina in Tier 1, and then and I'll put these down in the comments. You can see on Shrey's solo queue tier list, which in my opinion should actually be called a competitive tier list for the top 0.1% of players. Okay, you can see he's got Jaina in Tier 2, so he moved her down a little bit. Li Ming in Tier 1. They both have Li Ming in Tier 1, so I should sit back and go, you know what? Maybe my view of Li Ming is incorrect. Maybe she's quite powerful, and she does have some issues. Like we'll see that people down in the Gold and Silver League don't play Li Ming as well as Master League. So if you're not picking her in those comps, that's going to get her resets, and so that she can wipe an entire other team. Yeah, she's not going to feel as powerful, and that's what we're here a little bit to talk about today. You can see that Shrey has KT moved up to Tier 2. Which I would agree with, but he has Jaina in Tier 2, which maybe actually Jaina's a little bit more to Tier 1, but you should look at these tier lists to know, okay, this is what's happening in the Master scene. This is what's happening on the competitive scene, because these are going to be a little bit different than what's actually happening down where you're playing at, okay? So let's take a look at that today. You go, you know what? I am in Gold. I don't really know the meta. I haven't been playing for a couple of months. How do you get on and go, who's actually doing well? Who should I be picking? Who should I be banning? What should I be doing? What are people going to get really pissed off at me for picking type of thing? And you can find that here. So you find like, okay, I'm in Gold League. You can parse the data. So I'm in statistics, hero and map statistics. We're doing the stuff for Gold right now. Maybe you just came out of Silver. You could do both of them. Okay, let's just do Gold. Okay, and you can see that in Gold, Samuru is very popular. All right, the Butcher is very popular. These guys are winning at a high win rate. Artanis is very popular. He's winning at a high win rate. When we don't parse for Gold, we can see Artanis is very popular. As we go through each of the different leagues, we can see Artanis is very popular. He falls a little bit in Silver and Gold, but you can see he's top of Platinum, very high pick rate. Okay, so when you're dealing with like an assassin of some sort, people that get picked very variably and have like a large pool to pick from, like the specialists and the assassins, you want the popularity to be kind of around 15% is what I've kind of learned to gauge, to say, oh yeah, that guy 15% or over, that's somebody that's very meta right now. Regardless if the tier lists say that it's meta or not. I've seen, I don't agree with the Samuro picks, but I have seen Samuro picked a lot and used a lot, and he's doing very well right now, especially in the lower leagues, because people have trouble handling him. Which is not something that happens in the Masters Leagues, and that's not why you can always use their tier list and apply it to Gold, because the Masters will handle somebody like Gazlo, where Gazlo is not being handled or countered correctly or played against right, or is played too well for people to deal with him in these lower leagues. So we can see that, Samuro would be a good pick if you played a Samuro well. And this is going to be a very important deviation. What you want to think of the hero and map statistics as is how well does a position do on a baseball team. So it's kind of like, maybe the Ragnaros is the pitcher and the Butcher is the center fielder, okay? And you're looking at positions on a team, okay? And it's important that when you switch over to your own profile, you have to think of it, how well do I play that position, okay? So let's say Ragnaros is a pitching position, Thrall's a pitching position, okay? And on Ragnaros, you have an ERA of of 1, which would be extremely good. You play Ragnaros extremely well, okay? And on Thrall, you have an ERA of 7. You don't play Thrall well at all, okay? So you want to think of those two people as, actually, I play a very good Ragnaros. So I can play Ragnaros, but I shouldn't play Thrall, or I should practice Thrall until I get better. Okay, so we'll go back to, what should I play in Gold? Okay, you're looking at Hero League. You look at these top guys. Gazlo actually does pretty well in Gold. Okay, and if you look at it, Gazlo actually does pretty well across the board. The thing that people tend to do wrong is they look at Gazlo and they say, okay, he's got a 55% win rate. That means if you pick Gazlo in this league and you play him well, this is the likelihood against you playing against this position. Like, Gazlo is more likely to win in Gold than he is to lose. That's how to interpret that. A lot of people say, oh, stats can be misinterpreted or stats can be misleading. The interpretation of that is Gazlo is good in Gold. Okay? The big problem is people go and look in Masters and they look at what Gazlo's doing in Masters. And yes, he's still winning 52% of the time, but he is almost never picked. Okay, so it's all Chew 8 playing Gazlo up in Masters, and yes, you have to play asymptotically approaching perfect to be able to play Gazlo in Masters, because most of the time, they're going to be able to handle Gazlo in Masters. Or this guy knows to 5th pick Gazlo when the team can't counter him. Okay, so the Masters are playing pretty well against Gazlo, but actually, when he's picked in Masters, he's still more likely to win than he is to lose. So if you're up in Masters and you're picking Gazlo, you're doing it at the right times. Okay, so if I haven't been playing, I can look at this. Butcher's actually pretty good in Gold. Samuro's pretty good in Gold. All right, Gazlo actually works in Gold. Nazeebo's actually meta across the board right now. He won't be competitive, and that's an important distinction to make. I think Artanis is probably one of the best players in the game right now. Okay, but he's probably not going to be picked as much competitively. I don't know. We have to see. If you want to know the competitive picks, you can go to this esports visit mastersleague.net thing. Okay, but Artanis is solidly in meta. If you play a good Kerrigan and you can land your combo, this is a higher skill cap person, so she's down a little bit below the 15% side. So you need to play a better Kerrigan to play her and do well here. KT, absolutely meta. This is why we'll look a little bit more at KT, but I think he is within meta. I think he's solidly tier 2. I agree a little bit more with Shrey's list. I actually think Jaina's probably tier 1 right now. Okay, and so you can look at this, and the problem is, and when we look at the Li Ming thing, okay, we look at Li Ming, she's got a 45% win rate. If we parse it for silver, gold, and bronze, where's our Li Ming now? She's at a 42.3% win rate, but Nubkex and Shrey have her as tier 1. Just absolutely phenomenal. And in that regard, in Masters and higher level play, they are ultra correct in that. People know when to pick Li Ming. She goes up almost 10% in win rate difference between gold, silver, and bronze and Masters. And so that's why these tier lists for Masters and competitive play don't always apply down to the meta that you would see in gold. You know, meta being kind of the game that's in a different area of the game, or, you know, the type of game that you play on a specific map. So what I do whenever I start up a Hero League game, okay, and this is basically how I grinded from gold to diamond, okay? We're parsed for Hero League, okay? You could do it for Quick Match. If you did Quick Match and you wanted to rise in MMR in Quick Match, and I talk about in MMR in the expanded version, okay, then you would look at these top 10 heroes, top 20 heroes, and say, you know what? I play Ragnaros really well, I play the Butcher really well, I play Nazeebo really well, and then if you wanted to go into Quick Match on those, you're more likely to win with those characters right now, because the Butcher's going to be put up against the composition that's difficult, that they have trouble dealing with a Butcher unless they stay in a group as 5, which is what really shuts the Butcher down. Okay, and so he's going to get a lot of pickoffs, he's going to get a lot of 1v1s, that's where he shines, and then that's why the Butcher does so well in Quick Match. But you also have to be able, you know, people get upset with people because they're like, oh, this guy's a moron, he didn't interpret like, he's using Hotslogs, and he thinks Morales is good, he's an idiot. Well, if you didn't know now that Zul'jin just came out, and Morales and Zul'jin are a powerful combination because Zul'jin can keep his Berserker up, then yeah, you would incorrectly conclude like Morales is a really great player right now. And so a little of this you do have to have been playing, maybe you have to know it, or maybe you have to put those connections together to say, okay, that's why these two heroes are kind of at the top of the Quick Match list right now, because if you can combine these, they're a powerful combination together. So yes, it can be misleading in that way, or it can be misinterpreted. But I think a lot of times when people say that, they don't realize what they're saying. But let's go back to Hero League for a second now, and you want to be specifically parsing these things for the league that you're in, because it does change quite a bit league to league. So I'm gold, let's say I'm gold 2 moving into platinum. I could do gold and platinum because I want to rise to platinum. All of a sudden I see it's Battlefield of Eternity. Okay, so I'll parse it to Battlefield of Eternity. And then we can look at this and we can see Samuro's very good on Battlefield of Eternity. And that is correct. He does an enormous amount of immortal damage, and so he's a very good pick. Artanis is a very good pick on Battlefield of Eternity because he has amateur opponent. Okay, Jaina's not a bad pick. Brightwing's a pretty good pick. KT's a very good pick. So we can see KT's doing well on this map. Li Ming is actually a good pick on Battlefield of Eternity in the lower levels. It's kind of the map that she still does well. So this can help you know that, okay, this person's doing well. Vala's a good pick on Battlefield of Eternity, but actually if you picked Vala right here, you might not realize that the main Vala build is, you know, her multi-shot build sort of right now, okay? But actually on Battlefield of Eternity, she has a slightly different build where you pick Monster Hunter so she can get the Immortal down quickly. And so you can actually check for these different builds on the character if you say, you know what, I'm a good Vala player, or I want to learn Kerrigan, okay? So you can go to the most popular talent build for these heroes. Okay, I guess when it's just a map, it's a little limited. You can go to the most popular talent build, and you can see that this is the talent build that most people are picking on Nazeebo. So that's a pretty good place to start if you're wanting to learn a character, okay? Or we can go to the highest win rate build, all right? And you can see this is the highest win rate build that people are picking on Nazeebo. So that's also a good place to start if you're about to use a new tune in Platinum and Gold. If you want to see what most of the top guys are picking, maybe kind of get a different look at it, you can see Vala. Like, Vala's probably getting picked a lot on Battlefield of Eternity here, so, you know, we've got the Monster Hunter build. Or, you know, it's just a really good single target build for her. Or you can go even deeper into it, and let's take the example of Kerrigan. This is how to look at builds. First off, you can come down here, you can see the highest win rate build. Okay, so this is a pretty standard Kerrigan build. And then you go through it and you go, okay, a lot of people pick sharpened blades, but sometimes maybe block's appropriate. This is kind of odd. Sometimes siphoning impact's appropriate. And we'll talk about that, okay? So you can parse her by map. You can look at which ultimate is the best. Maelstrom is absolutely the pick for her. You look at it and you kind of say, oh, the other one wins a little bit more. People are probably picking this in a win more situation, and you have to remember, when there's 80% more people picking an ultimate than the other one, there's going to be a lot more bad people picking this Maelstrom ultimate, okay, because there's just less masters than there are the rest of the people. So there's sometimes kind of crappy people. So this stat is actually probably slightly effectively higher than if you only had these 10.5 people picking that Maelstrom. Like, this should be slightly higher, okay? And then you see Double Strike is kind of the pick at 13. Aggressive defense is what most people go for here. I know Equinox's build, which is the one I use, go for essence, a little bit harder to use well. This one's a little bit safer, okay? And then the last pick, kind of, you know, whatever you want sort of thing. But if there is a specific build that's map specific that maybe you need to know, and we know in Infernal Shrines has a different build for Kerrigan, you can see that her Q build becomes very popular because of how fast it allows her to clear the shrine, okay? And so here you can tell when, oh, okay, there's actually a different build for this map that I maybe should be using. So that's a good way to learn a specific character. So you can use this throughout all the levels. Masters is a little bit harder to use because you can see there's less games played there, okay? But if we look at it overall, and we want to know just the particular meta for Hero League, we know Artanis is doing very well, Samuro's doing very well, Rag's doing very well. These would all be good picks. Who's getting banned a lot, okay? You can parse it for games banned. Rag's still not a bad ban. Mouse not a bad ban. Thrall is very powerful right now. Great ban. Rhaegar's a great healing ban right now. He's probably the best, you know, one of the best healers in the game. Okay, and so if we go back to win percent, okay, with the tanks and the healers, you're going to want more than that 15% popularity, okay? You can see the most popular tank, one of the most popular tanks right now is Diablo. One of the most popular healers right now is Malfurion. The other popular healer is Rhaegar. So you can see Rhaegar's picked at 61%. So right now with tanks and healers, you want them to be kind of 30% popularity to say, oh yeah, that person is well within meta. Johanna's a little bit more niche pick tank now, so you can see she's right at 30%, right off the cutoff. But ETC and Diablo are pretty big tank picks right now. Brightwing's a pretty big healing pick right now. Thrall is well within meta right now. Good solo laner. You know, somebody that's banned in quite a bit of matches overall. And so this is how you want to look at this and say, okay, these are the heroes that I can pick. You can also use this for game lengths. If you want to see if a hero's early game, we know that Sylvanas is an early game hero. And sure enough, if we look at this, we see that, okay, the people that are winning that first Immortal phase on Sylvanas are able to snowball the game, and so you have these shorter games. She's more likely to win on the short side of things. We know Butcher's a late game hero. Nazeebo's a late game hero, so we know if the game is going to 25 to 29 minutes, these guys are more likely to win. You know, Raynor with his seasoned marksman stacks are going to build up over time. He's going to win more late game. Okay, and so you can kind of get an idea for the different heroes with that as well. Okay, so the take home from this, look at heroes. If they're 15% or above popularity, they're probably kind of meta around that area. The popularity percentages on my part are slightly arbitrary, but they do seem to be working right now for this. But you know, you can just kind of use the bans, the games played, their win percentages, the different, you know, their win percentages on the different maps. Okay, so load up the map and use this map to help you pick who's doing well on this map and who do I play well. Okay, so speaking of the who do you play well, the other side of, well, you can also go to score results. Okay, so if we want to look at score results here, this can tell you the win percent, who's doing well. who dies the least. So if you need to die less, Li Ming's a pretty good pick. She plays pretty safe. Who does hero damage? Who's some of the best siege people right now? You can look at it, okay? Zul tends to do more siege, a little bit less hero damage, whereas Sylvanas does a little bit less siege than Zul, but does a little bit more hero damage. So if you needed a specialist that was still going to be able to help in team fights a little bit, Sylvanas is maybe a better pick there. So it can help you with that. And then you can also parse it for Masters League and say, how am I playing in comparison to the average stats that Masters are putting up on Gul'dan? And so if you're putting up only 40,000 hero damage on Gul'dan, on average, then it can kind of tell you, maybe I need to work on this a little bit more. Maybe I'm not in enough team fights or putting up the right amount of hero damage to kind of compare yourself to the higher rated people in the game. The other side of this is your personal account. So remember, with all of the statistics page, we're looking at how well does this position do in a team in Heroes of the Storm, okay? With your account, you're looking at how well do you personally do with certain positions in Heroes of the Storm. So like if, you know, the baseball team recruits, you know, Randy Johnson for pitcher and he's a phenomenal pitcher, then they're recruiting a player to play the position of pitching because he's very good at that. They're recruiting a player to play Thrall. So you would recruit Shrey to come and play on your team because he plays specific tunes very well. Okay, so the MMR is kind of your skill. Okay, and so this is it for each of the leagues. This is how many times you typically get MVP. This is your overall win percent. Now, when you are looking at your overview page, okay, you want to make sure that you're kind of parsing it for the last so many days. You don't want to look at all time if you've been playing for, say, a year, because a lot of things change, a lot of heroes change. Okay, so the best thing to do is if you played a lot in the last 30 days, look at the last 30 days. If you've played a lot in the last 60 days, then choose the last 60 days to look at. So in the last 60 days, we can look at it, okay? It looks like my win percentage on Assassins wasn't that good, but actually I'm on a chair league team now, and so I've been practicing Assassins more because that's my position. And you can see, okay, in the last 30 days compared to what it was before, my Assassins have actually gotten a lot better. So it's a way to see, is your personal skill getting better? And then you can take this by win percentage. You can see who you play well. So if I'm winning 69% of the time on Thrall in Quick Match, we need to parse it for Quick Match. It's important to be what you're looking at. Okay, the normal Thrall Quick Match win rate is 51.5%. Then I know I'm playing Thrall to a good enough win rate to be consider myself like a Thrall main as far as Quick Match goes. That's the way that you want to think of it. Like, I am a good player at this position. Okay, the position of Thrall on average should be getting 52% win rate. Okay, and so if you're at a 70% win rate in, say, 20 or 30 games, then you are a very good Thrall, okay? And you could potentially use that to move into Unranked, or you could potentially use that to move into Hero League, okay? But you would also have to parse it for Hero League, okay? So you go to the specific game mode and say, you know, how good of a player am I in Hero League on that player? And we can see I don't play Thrall in Hero League, not enough to make a call on that. But we can look at Raynor, and when he was bugged, yes, I won at 64% win rate on him. So we could say, oh, yep, Raynor is somebody that I should continue to pick in Hero League. Zul, I'm winning at 70%. So Zul is somebody I should continue to pick on in Hero League. I'm a very good Johanna. I'm playing Johanna well over the percent that other people are winning on Johanna. So I can kind of say, yep, I'm picking Johanna at the right times. I'm using her at the right times. If you're not getting close to, you know, 10 to 20 games played on somebody in Hero League, then go back to 90 days and kind of see, you know, oh, okay, this is what this guy was looking like then. This is what this guy was looking like then. You know, but anybody that's had some big changes, you know, kind of step back and consider that. You know, now there's some big changes to Raynor. My 63% win rate is probably not going to be the same on him, okay? And so you can look at map statistics and go, okay, What are my best maps? What maps do I need to work on? So right now I'm struggling on Garden of Terror. I'm struggling on Towers of Doom. I'm doing very well on Warhead Junction. Well, you can pull this down and say, what is making me do well on Warhead Junction? Wow, I'm playing ETC really well on Warhead Junction. Maybe I should lean towards ETC picks. Okay, you can also look at your matchups. Who do you play against well? I almost always win when I play against Lilies. Okay, I almost always lose when I play against Tyrandas. So this can make me go, okay, let me step back, think about my Tyrant. Like, what am I doing poorly against the Tyranda that's causing me to lose? Who am I picking into Kerrigan that's causing me to lose? Rhaegar's a really great healer right now. Maybe I want to start banning Rhaegar because I lose when I play against Rhaegar. Type of thing. So these are people that you play well with. So you can say, you know what? When I have a Kerrigan on my team, I do, you know, maybe I focus the target that she combos well. I can suggest people to pick Kerrigan. When I have a Nova on my team, I do not win, okay? When I have a Tychus on my team, I tend to not win. So maybe I tell, you know, push people off of picking Nova, which is not ever really happens. You can look at your MMR milestones, and so if you look at them over time, okay, you can see this is Hero League, so this is back when I was climbing out of gold. I watched Nubkek's video, and then I suddenly climbed on MMR Hell, and then I went through Platinum and up to Diamond, and then now back up to Diamond again. So that's what your MMR means. Win rate by gate time, a little bit less. Okay, and so you can also look at your friends. The friends are actually, let's go by games played. So I see that I win about 60% of the games, my games with Trad. We've played a whole bunch together. And so that, you know, this is a person that I play well with. My buddy Winman, we have a low win percent, so we have some anti-synergistic things. So we need to either like look at, okay, what are we doing that is causing us to lead to losses, or you know, maybe we don't need to play this game mode together anymore. Rivals will come up when you've in the higher ranks when you tend to play the same people, and so you can see like times that I run into Fenrir, I just don't beat this, you know, so he's like my nemesis in the game, okay? And so this is how you can use these things to your advantage. You want to go into Hero League and the last 60 days, okay, I'm playing Zul. What am I picking on Zul that's helping me play him so much better than the common like way? And then you can break down the talent list like I was showing earlier for Kerrigan in this same video, and you can see, oh, well, when I'm picking Amplify Damage, I'm either picking it at the right time, or when my teammates are doing a good job of focusing people down, and I'm actually winning more when I pick Amplify Damage than when I pick Flowing Wounds. I've actually started to lean more towards Backlash, and so like I would pick that more often, and then I come back and check my Backlash win rate to my Shade win rate, and then we can say, oh, okay, that's you know, maybe I should be picking that, or you know, maybe I should be picking Mortal Wound. So, and the farther back you go, you can see it. But remember, if they change the character, then that you've got to build up a new battery of stats against it. And so, like we were talking earlier, you can look at your hero overview and see, you know, how are you playing heroes and compared to the average stats, or go and parse it by masters. And so you can see here, these are your actual stats in all game modes. Okay, so we can go off of win percent. We see my Zul's a very high win percent. I'm doing 123,000 siege damage and 36,000 hero damage, which was comparable to what masters are doing on Zul. Okay, my Li Ming, on the other hand, okay, is a little bit lower win rate. I'm not putting up the hero damage that they typically put up on her. Okay, so but I'm dying about the same amount. So you know, these can kind of help you compare you to the higher level people. Okay, and so and then your match history is just from the uploads, which is in the expanded version. Okay, and so this is kind of Hotslogs, and this is how I use this to, you know, you can look at the maps and say, okay, I've been doing poorly on Sky Temple. What's making me do that? Well, I've been picking Diablo on Sky Temple. I don't play him well there. I've been picking Falstad on Sky Temple. I'm clearly not playing him well there. Okay, so this is how to evaluate yourself personally. And then when your game starts, you just go to the site-wide hero and map statistics. You go, okay, Sky Temple is loaded up. Okay, it's a Hero League game. Or if I'm in Team League, I do it the same way. Okay, it's a Team League game in Sky Temple. You know, I look at these, I go, oh, you know what, I've been practicing my Jaina a whole bunch. Look, KT's back at the top of the list, okay? And you can say, oh, maybe I'll pick Jaina this game if they let me. Oh, I'm going to have to heal. Rhaegar's the best healer. I'll pick that, okay? But if, you know, if they have something like a direct counter to Malfurion and Rhaegar's banned, then, you know, you got to use your noggin about it, okay? Don't pick Malfurion into, like, a direct Malfurion counter, okay? You maybe move down to, like, if they've got a Butcher on the team, yeah, Malfurion is a little bit higher win rate than Brightwing on this map, but Brightwing counters Butcher really well, so Brightwing would be a better pick. So you have to actually, you know, it can't just be like a catch-all, like, oh, I pick the highest win rate dude all the time because that gives me the highest chance of winning. You also want to use your knowledge of the game, your knowledge of counters. You can go to hotscounters.com and maybe help with that a little bit, or just, you know, read more stuff on how to counter people, and that's just, that, you know, that comes with drafting. And that's learning drafting. Nubkex has his top 5 tips for drafting video. But like we said about KT earlier, why I do think he is tier 2, you can look at these guys, you can look at how well they're doing on specific maps. I think he's, you know, you can also come into here and you can look at matchups, okay? And this can be a good way of telling, okay, this, you know, if you click on their name in the site-wide statistics, this can be a good way of telling who do they counter and who are they countered by. KT can kind of counter a Medivh because he can put out his E and blow him up, okay? And so the Medivh gets very low, so he's got to go away. Or, you know, KT is probably countered by something like Jaina because she slows him down even more. Malfurion, he gets stuck in the roots, and the Zebo, he puts him stuck in the wall. Samuro can kind of kill him very easy. Artanis can swap him. So maybe these are KT counters, but actually these aren't as bad of counters as you see in some of the other players, okay? And then you can look at his wins by map, and you can say, you know what, I've been practicing KT. He actually wins pretty well on a lot of different maps, okay? There's not a lot of picks that are that much better than him. So I do think we'll see KT move up over the next couple of weeks, and this is kind of how to use Hotslogs to maybe get an advantage before those tier lists are put out. Or, you know, I knew that Raynor was good. I didn't realize it was a bug, but he moved up 8% in win rate. And so you just know, okay, something's going on with this. And as soon as I started playing Raynor, it was like, wow, I'm winning like crazy on him. And so, and then it comes out that there was a bug. And so I actually had a head start on the whole Raynor thing. Okay, but this can also tell you, okay, it's Warhead Junction, maybe don't pick KT. It's Battlefield of Eternity, maybe don't pick KT. And actually, like, Jaina's looking even better than KT in a lot of places. So, like, okay, she's a little bit better pick on Braxis. So maybe you pick her over KT on Braxis. You pick her over KT on Blackheart's Bay. But you can see that the KT, he's not as good of the pick on Blackheart's Bay. So this can kind of help you, like, say, okay, this mage is really good on these maps. This mage is kind of the top on these maps. And you can do this for each, you know, you can do this for the bruisers as well. And you can see Jaina and KT are very high on the overall list right now. And then if we look in the different leagues, well, nobody wins in bronze. Rip bronze. If we look in the different leagues, we can see, you know, Jaina's still kind of high in silver. That's why I think, you know, Jaina is very tier 1 right now. There's Jaina in gold. KT's right there with her. Here's Jaina moving up even higher in platinum. She kind of edges KT here. She's moved up in diamond. KT's falling a little bit. You know, I think Jaina's solidly tier 1. I think KT is tier 2. I think we'll see a little bit more priority of KT over the next couple of months, people playing him. But then you look in Masters and you think about Nubkek's tier list, okay? Where's the actual Jaina? So we've got KT is actually the highest. Li Ming is kind of low. Actually, then it's CG. Oh, she's 4th. Okay. So, you know, I think Jaina is tier 1. I understand that Li Ming does well up there, but like right now, Jaina and KT are easily outperforming Li Ming most of the time, unless you pick Li Ming in like a reset type comp. Okay, and so this is how to use this really valuable resource to better your own personal play, understand maybe where some of the caveats are in picking heroes, or heroes that are actually just starting to come into meta, and this is where you can start to catch them doing well, like Thrall's S tier, and the pros have been saying it, and now he's moved up into there. But over the last couple of weeks, Nazebo's kind of climbed up back out of nowhere, and he's doing well again. And so you could have been on that Nazebo train a little bit earlier with these type of methods of looking at the different characters and how they move up through the different ranks, or for your own personal meta in, say, gold or silver or platinum. Okay, and so, you know, another one of these caveats is Brightwing does very well on a map like Tomb of the... This really happens when you look at these team compositions. So if you're looking something like this at a group by actual hero, and the map is Tomb of the Spider Queen, it's kind of interesting to see Brightwing in some of the top compositions. But actually, what's happening a lot of the time is you have a Kerrigan on the team, or you have a Butcher on the team, and so these people are picking Brightwing on their team to stop the pick from the other side, the other team from picking Brightwing to counter the Kerrigan or to counter the Butcher. So you do need to be thinking about like heroes counters and drafting when you're using this. And I think that's, you know, people's main and actual legitimate complaints when an individual is using Hotslogs wrong. They're using it in that regard, like, oh, I see Brightwing's in the top compositions, I'm going to pick Brightwing on Tomb of the Spider Queen every time, when that's not actually a good way to pick Brightwing. You know, so you use the ability to click on these guys and look at their matchups. Okay, and this can help you determine like who counters Ragnaros well. Okay, or so you go down here and you look, Butcher counters Ragnaros well, Jaina counters Ragnaros well because she slows him down, or Tannis counters Rag, he swaps him, Kerrigan counters him if she can get a good combo on him. Thrall and him have similar sustain, you know, so Malfurion can root him. So these are things that counter Ragnaros well, and so that's what you need to be looking for when, you know, applying your knowledge of Hotslogs with your knowledge of countering and good drafting, and all of these things taken together is what's going to make you a better player and a better and start to move up in the way that you want. And I sincerely hope that this is met with a positive reception and everything, because that's what I mean. I want people to look at this, be able to use Hotslogs, which is, you know, our reference of great data. This is really great data coming from a scientist. This is really great and accurate and very good data. And if you can interpret it well, which is the intent of this video, then you can use it to your benefit to make the community, the HOTS community, and the play an even better place, and to increase the skill level of the community as a whole. And that's sincerely how I hope people get to use it. And so, you know, using this with other content creators like Shrey and Nubkex, we can make like a lot better community for HOTS in the future. And so hopefully, if you want more info like this, the extended version will be good. But if you wanted the quick and dirty version, this is kind of it. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to like and/or comment, and be sure to check out all my content by following at twitch.tv/FollowSpire and subscribing to my YouTube channel, FollowSpire. Till next time, this has been another edition of Inspired Gaming.